Oh,
Okay, here we are. This is Dr. Dan Cardellichio. Want to welcome you to another segment of MD Life segment. Took a few seconds for the computer to catch up here. So I am excited. We haven't been on in a couple of months. We've both been so busy, Mandy. However, I want to introduce my co-host, Mandy J. Ross. Mandy, how are you today?
I'm sending so much love to y'all watching, whether it's through the live stream right now or it's going to be on my YouTube channel. So I feel amazing. As you can see, I am another shade of Mandy today. It has been a beautiful, mostly beautiful summer in Toronto here. How are you doing today, Dan?
I am doing great. I'm looking forward to our conversation. We haven't spoken in about 6 weeks, at least on the air here, but we've spoken, texting and calling and so forth and so on. So I'm really excited about today's conversation. So a little bit about Mandy, catalyst for positive change, international TV and media personality. I love that. Speaker, writer, model, mindset coach, manifestation coach. I'm Dr. Dan. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a nutritionist. And we have the same mindset, Mandy and I, just about 100%, right, Mandy? So it's
I would definitely say that we're both winners.
There's no doubt about that. So today we're going to talk about unshakable confidence.
Yes.
This is something that I think is extremely important. I think this is something that is, how can we say it, is kind of missing from society today. We'll just leave it at that. We won't go any further, but we're going to talk about unshakable confidence because, boy, we were just having a conversation before we got on, and I was talking to her about some of my nieces and nephews and so forth and so on. And, having that confidence in life is extremely important. So, Mandy, what are your initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, thank you so much for that amazing intro, Dan. Obviously, I know it has been a little while for us to get on here, and even on my own channel, I know a lot of y'all have been asking for mindset, manifestation, talking videos too, because I've kind of gone back to doing a lot of fitness and like non-talking videos. So I thought it'd be cool to have this conversation today, and just to kind of break down what the episode's going to be about, I think is a good thing, just so y'all are aware if that's something you want to tune into. So the live stream or the YouTube, yes, we're talking all about unshakable confidence, because I've seen it work magic, especially in the last few months of my life. But more importantly, I think it's important to identify, like, what does unshakable confidence even mean? Like the definition of what is that? Right. And then obviously ways that I can share that have worked in my life that I can, we can discuss how to have that unshakable confidence within, so that you can basically achieve anything you want in your life, because as I always like to say, nothing is impossible. Even the word itself says I'm possible. So knowing that you can do, be, and have anything you want in your life stems from having this unshakable confidence.
It is so important today, because if you don't have confidence in your personal life, in your professional life, emotionally, right?
Amen.
Physically, if you don't have that, you succumb to so many different, media commercials. People are telling you what to do. You're the captain of your own ship. So let's talk about.
I literally, it's funny you say that. Like, it's so funny when I'm affirming or saying certain affirmations, or like just talking to myself. I go through periods where I'll have different ones that I go through. And literally one of the ones that I've been working with that I just manifested, you're the reflection of me, right? Or the pushed out me, is like, I'm the captain of my own ship. And you nailed it, right? Like, we all have to take accountability for creating a life that we love. And there's a few things I want to hone in on today, but I think, again, like going back to this confidence, I think one of the biggest things to, again, start with or identify is, like, what does that even mean in the first place? What does it mean to actually be or have unshakable confidence? And I was thinking about how best to describe this in like a definition format for people to take away at home who are viewing this episode or live stream. And I think the biggest word that also to me is sort of like, what does unshakable confidence mean? It really does boil down to having 100% belief. It's belief in a few things, belief 100% in oneself. I think it's belief in your ability to achieve anything, absolutely anything, no matter what, for yourself. And it's also the belief that it's possible. And I know we've talked about these kind of concepts, in different ways in some of my our other conversations and other manifestation videos. I'll put the playlist for y'all who are watching on YouTube after the fact up here. But that's the thing. I think it's really important to understand, like, having unshakable confidence. I mean, I think there's a lot of definitions that I've heard different people kind of refer to when it comes to someone who's confident, but I think it really is a belief in yourself first and foremost. And it's important to note that belief word as well, because when we're talking about the typical things that end up blocking confidence, it's usually the limiting beliefs, which again, I've mentioned in other videos, and you and I have discussed. And that's one of the things I want to dive into a little bit deeper in this episode, is like, how can we best not just build our confidence up, but eliminate some of those limiting beliefs that are blocking us from having more of what we want in our world.
It all starts in your mind.
Amen.
It all starts in your mind.
That is it.
It all starts in your mind. You have to, I don't want to say be mentally tough, but you need to believe that you can do it. And over the last 3 weeks, I've had a series of friends that have passed away. And one of them, thank you. One of them, and I'll mention her name, is Jenny Lynn. And Jenny Lynn was an IFB figure pro, and they created the category of figure for her specifically. She was in fitness beforehand, in the fitness category. But anyway, her thing and what she always said to me is I believed in myself.
Oh yeah.
It comes down to me. And she had 100% belief. She had t-shirts that had believe on them throughout her career. And so when everybody told her that, you're not going to do this. This is silly. You're not going to be the figure pro or anything like that. That's just not going to happen. Well, you know what? It was inaccurate. And she said, I manifested. I had mindset. I visualized myself winning on the stage, down to what I smelled on stage, the way I looked on stage, the attire I had on stage, what the judges saw, what their facial expression was when I walked on stage. And she said when it was over, when her career was over, when she decided to retire, she went into business, doing it in her business life. So at the end of the day, or the beginning of the morning, she won 12. She was national champion, international champion 12 times. She won the Arnold 3 times, and she won the Olympia twice. Impossible to even win the Olympia. She did it twice, but she had unshakable confidence. And it was that emotional resiliency that she had, right?
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, we're talking about and that's why, we could go into, even when it comes to a physical standpoint of like what people experience when they go through physical body transformations. I'm going to be honest with y'all, like, as much as, yes, I love and I'm all for working out, doing healthy habits during your daily routines, and implementing healthy lifestyle, activities and that kind of thing. But unless in here you can see it for yourself, that you're able to actually achieve a new version, a new transformative version of you 2.0. If you can't see it up here, it's going to virtually be impossible. And I literally can think of even specific people I've known personally who, again, have done what quote unquote would be impossible societally, or what a normal person would think would be able to be achieved by our logical mind, and have been able to do that. And then there's people who, for most people, would think like it's the littlest thing, but they can't seem to do it because it's not in their own mind a possibility. So this is so important, whether we're talking physical transformations and body transformations. I mean, we can call it manifesting, we can call it basically getting your ideals in your life, whatever you want to call those things. Bottom line, end of the day, what we're describing is how can we get you from point A to the point B version of whatever you want, right? Whether that's a physical transformation, whether that's love and relationships in your life, whether that's money, whether that's opportunities, whether that's a lifestyle, maybe that's luxurious things, like whatever it is, it's all going to stem from here. One of my favorite metaphors that I like to touch on for this kind of philosophy is a garden, right? Like our minds are all like these, I like to think of them. I know if you all follow me on social media at Mandy J. Ross, I talk about a lot about metaphors, in particular nature, because I think there's so much wisdom that exists in the different processes in nature. And one of the things that I always refer to is like our mind is like a garden, right? So when it comes to our thoughts, you can plant positive seeds that will continue to manifest and bloom and blossom into these, gorgeous manifestations you want that are positive, or you can end up growing or not growing very nice blooms because of what you're feeding your garden that is your mind. Now, what's important to note in this beautiful garden is not just that your mind, the garden, needs to be nourished with the proper, positive quote unquote seeds and nutrients and all those things. You also need to be very aware to weed out the negative stuff too that's going on. Now, when I talk negative, what am I meaning in the metaphorical way of manifesting? I'm talking about those negative thoughts around doubts, fears, all the limiting beliefs, lack, worrying. All these things that are not serving you are going to end up blocking, like if you picture here, solid soil, right? Ground. Right. You have these beautiful, nice, positive seeds you've planted now that want to come out. They really want to come up and bloom, right? But if you're continually letting those weeds stay, you're going to end up eating away the ones that want to come out, which is your manifestation. So it's equally as important to note like the areas that you need to work on mentally as it is to actually be planting and doing proactive things to actually feed and nourish the garden too, right?
So what do you do to feed and nourish the garden of your mind so that you can be emotionally strong? What does that look like for you? And what do you do with your clients?
So that's an amazing question, and thank you. Yes, I am. I put that on the back burner, but I am still taking mindset coaching clients as well as my health coaching clients that I have too. In terms of like, what does that look like? There's a lot of different, I would say there's a lot of different techniques I've used with clients over the years. I'm gonna be real with you, and this is another reason I did want to do this video with you guys, watching at home, but also this conversation we're having, Dan, is because I would say in the last few months especially, I've actually taken much more of a relaxed approach, and I've let go of some of the techniques I was doing. Now, I'm going to be the first to say, I'm not going to bash any technique. And there's even videos I've done, and you and I have even discussed them on air about certain techniques, right? Things like scripting. And you mentioned some with your, gosh, God rest her soul, her beautiful soul. But, your friend, some of the things you mentioned, like visualization, scripting, affirming, all these things. These techniques, in my mind, again, are not bad or good. It's just where are you at along your manifestation journey and what works best for you? I've talked about us all having somewhat of a, you can call it maybe a mental or a spiritual toolbox, and we can fill this toolbox with whatever works best for us. The bottom line, end of the day, is this when it comes to any sort of technique. At the end of it all, what you're basically doing is focusing your mind. And we know thoughts create, right? Your thoughts are always going to create. Your thoughts, from a scientific or science-based standpoint, do hold energy. It's been proven in science that it does have an energy to them. So basically, and where your mind goes, your energy flows, right? So the more you focus on what you want, the more you're going to see more of it. It's like this momentous, it's, energy, this vibe, this, whatever you want to call it, it's going to go in that direction. The more you focus on, let's say, the weeds or the not so, let's say, the not ideal things you want to be seeing in your reality, that's what you're going to see more of. It's like feeding the good or feeding the bad. So when you're asking me what are things that I actually do, it's not so much, or what I would say at this point guide clients to do is not so much around specific manifesting techniques right now, because again, I'm only trying to teach, or I can only teach, and anyone who tells you otherwise, like any good teacher that I know or guide will say the same thing. As long as their intentions are positive and pure, they're probably going to most likely teach from a space of what's worked the best for them through their own personal experience, and also where they're at on their journey. So, 6 months ago, I was a completely different, version of me that was using certain techniques that were working for me at that time. Today, the 2.0 unshakably confident Mandy that is sitting here with you is in a different space now, and that's where I'm trying to guide people from. So today's version of me would say that it's not so much about focusing so hardcore on the manifesting techniques per se, as it is making sure you're healthy within yourself, and actually taking a bit more of a, I don't necessarily know that I want to use the word relaxed, because it is in a sense more of a relaxed kind of like you're allowing things to happen more, kind of that letting go energy. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you're getting lazy with your manifesting. And by lazy, and I'm not meaning literally the I guess the kind of mainstream definition of lazy. What I'm trying to communicate with using that word is that you're not getting lax in your ability to still be consciously creating. You still have to take ownership. You still need to tend to this garden, which is your mind. You still need to do the things that are going to build you up, right? So if I had to say more so, what I've been focused on is how can I keep myself in a state that is the best, highest, healthiest version of me, so that I'm always feeling my best in order to stay focused on the things that I want to achieve in my life. So having a really, really healthy, good daily routine has been a game changer for me. And I've talked about routines a lot before, but now more than ever, I don't allow myself to feel, I think there was an element of maybe me feeling not guilty per se, but I used to feel like, if I wasn't doing more techniques, that there was this level of like, maybe I'm not trying hard enough, or maybe I'm not doing enough to get the things that I want. Manifesting is not a trying process. That's the big thing that I really want to stress. And literally, not literally, but that's the thing that I really want to communicate is like, the best ways that I've been able to manifest the things in my life have not necessarily been because, and actually they haven't been because I've been sitting there focused on, sitting in like lotus position and just focus. No, it's living your life. You got to enjoy your life. You got to live your life, and you got to do the things that make you feel your best, because ultimately the focus needs to be on you. If you're if you're feeling, and I know like y'all watching who are really, really into your manifesting techniques, whatever it is you're choosing to do, however you're spending your time, what I've come to realize is this. Let's say, for example, you want more money in your life. You want to manifest more money. That's a big one for a lot of people. They want to have more abundance, right?
Right.
Sitting back or like not even just sitting, it could be like, I'm just using that as an example, say visualization with your eyes closed. Let's take another one. If you're constantly thinking about the fact that you don't have money, I don't care how much you're visualizing, how much you're scripting, if you're still focused, if you're predominantly focused on the fact that you don't have money, even though you're consciously trying to do these things to manifest more, subconsciously, what that actually says to me is that you don't actually believe that it's going to come. Otherwise, you wouldn't be like stressing yourself out trying to do so much to get it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. Now, the Mandy 2.0, what was that transformation from 1.0 to 2.0?
Yeah, so again, like the last few months, I have seen an exponential growth in things like just every area. That's why I wanted to come on today. I'm so excited to share these kind of things with you guys, because in my life, I feel like, and I mean, I want to say one thing before I even get into like, what is the version 2.0 me doing nowadays? If you're sitting at home right now or wherever you're watching from, I don't want this to be about the fact that like life, again, we've talked about having this Pollyanna view. It's not about like life is so perfect, nothing ever happens, or things don't come up in my 3D that are not ideal. They do. The difference is that I'm in such a happy state most of my time doing things that feed myself, my body, my mind, my soul, that I feel unshakable when someone or something comes up that is not necessarily the ideal in my scenario for me. And the reason why I even say this is because it's very important. If y'all are sitting there watching this video right now, I'm talking directly to you out there right now. And I'm saying it like this because it's so important to know. I don't want to sit here and try to in any way diminish the fact that some of you might be in a situation right now that you're experiencing circumstances that are literally a bleep storm, that are so far from anything you can imagine that you would ideally want for yourself. And I've been there. That is only why I can speak on this now today. I've been in circumstances where I literally felt so frustrated and so like at my wit's end, and I didn't know what to do, which is why I feel so compelled to make this kind of content, because there's always a way out, and it starts with you and what you're feeding your mind. That is why it is so important to be so mindful literally of that garden, that what you're planting, what you're weeding out. This is the number one thing I'm always going to say to you guys. If you're sitting there and you're really, really in incredibly difficult, challenging, especially with what's going on in the world, if you're in very challenging circumstances right now, I'm here as the deliverer of a higher calling message to tell you, you can get yourself out of it. But it's gonna take you being and taking ownership for your life. It's not gonna come from somebody else. It's not gonna come from some external validation, or it's not gonna come from someone pulling yourself out of a ruddy mindset. It's gonna start with you and you alone. You could literally have everyone around you. And I will say, it's great to have a support system like YouTubers, like Ann and I, like cheerleaders in your life. It's great to have those external people around you who are positive. But if you don't believe in things for yourself, it doesn't matter how many cheerleaders you have in your life, you need to be your biggest cheerleader. That is the number one thing that's going to get you out.
You have to be accountable for yourself, and you have to take a lot of action. You got to take a lot of momentum. You have to have that belief in yourself. Out of frustration is born some of the greatest achievements in the history of humankind. Born out of frustration is some of the greatest achievements individually that you can make. And it's just something I believe in the human spirit. You've heard me, you and I have discussed that off air a million times. I just believe in the human spirit. I believe that anybody can do anything that they put their mind to. When you mentioned the word focus, and focus is extremely important, so you can get out of the situation that you're in right now.
Absolutely. Actually, I love that you just said out of frustration, a lot of times is born some of the most brilliant things. I want to actually touch on this because this is a really important thing to note. This goes back to a lot of times we can get ourselves in this mental state of, and this is going to tie into like the habits, the things that I want to share with y'all in order to kind of overcome the limiting beliefs. Sometimes we can get into such a state where we're trying so hard to actually get what we want that we miss the point. And some of the best inventions in all of history have happened the moment someone actually decides to let go. Like some of the greatest inventions have actually happened when, say, the scientist walks away from whatever thing he's trying to create and goes on a walk, or literally like goes and does something that's like just a passion thing of his or hers, and then the inspiration comes to them. Because when you're so focused, sometimes you can get yourself actually so focused that you become obsessed, or you become like so adamant about like forcing. And I'm a huge proponent of letting things flow. Like you gotta let things flow. And I go back to the rhyme that I've shared in these videos we've done before, Dan, where it's like, when it comes to manifesting, or let's say attracting or achieving anything you want in your life, it's very, very, very important. This cute little rhyme that I like to share, which is, when it comes to this, you're in charge of the what and the now. You are never in charge of the when and the how. That is up to a higher purpose. I believe in God. Y'all know out there, I'm such a firm believer in God, and I share that on my social media too, because that's my personal belief. I don't want this video or live stream to be about religion by any means, but there's got to be a degree inside of you in which you, again, believe that there is a higher something, a higher power, a source energy that is going to assist you in achieving that which you want. And whether you are someone who does believe in God or something else, you have to, I like that say, let Jesus take the wheel. You gotta be able to, the two things I should say you can control. Let's just break it down to bare bones basics. You can control the what. What do you want? You need to be able to articulate, most importantly to yourself and to, let's say, the higher power, God, what it is you want. Like you need to ask yourself a very candid question over and over in different areas of your life. What is it? Identify it. The better in detail you can get, the better, right? Like the more detail, the better. So identify what you want and throw logic out the window. This is where you need to step into that, I like to say, Mandy fears, that limitless, abundant mindset of yours, and just go, you know what? Anything is possible for myself. Absolutely anything. So what do I want? How much money do I want? What kind of partner do I want? What kind of lifestyle do I want? What kind of purposeful work do I want to create in the world? That kind of stuff is very important. So you need to identify the what it is you want. Next, you need to focus on the now. In every single moment, you have the ability to change your life. And I can't say enough the importance of that. Living in the now, enjoying your time, making sure your mindset is right now, right? Like the now is all we ever have. So the more you become aware of the thoughts that are coming into your vicinity because we have so many distractions. We're literally, and this is another thing about like confidence in general. I'm gonna just say it. You know that I am like literally one of the most optimistic people, Dan, and I know y'all watching, a lot of you are too. But Dan and I are two of the biggest life cheerleaders, super positive, almost to the degree of being Pollyanna, but not quite. Still are.
We're not
like,
Pollyanna.
We're not Pollyanna, but we're up there on the chain of like positive people, right?
Right.
But here's the thing: we do live in a world and in a society. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. A lot of societal things are basically predominantly wired to make us feel insecure. They're predominantly created to be a competition, to be, you know, demeaning towards us, or to make us feel small. And I'm here to completely eradicate that, because y'all watching out there can literally be doing, have anything you want. It's not a matter of your history and where you came from, which Dan, you and I have had conversations about this. I don't care what your history is. And I'm not saying that to diminish what you've gone through. I'm actually saying that to empower you, because today in the moment is the exact moment you can turn your life around. That's having unshakable confidence. That's knowing that no matter where you came from, today, right now, in this moment, you can decide that you're going to be the best version of yourself and commit to it, make it completely decided upon right now, and you can head in a totally different direction. It's completely possible because Dan's done it, I've done it, and I know because I've been in those undesirable circumstances in my past that it's totally achievable.
It is totally. So let's get a little down and dirty. What was one of the circumstances that you had to get out of, Mandy?
Actually, I would say one of the biggest things, I've manifested so much in the last few months, so much stuff. Like and I don't even mean tangible, just tangible things. I mean, and this is where I'm going to throw this in. And this is, again, one of the intentions behind this video, what inspired me to want to do this topic with you today. You know what the number one thing I'm actually so grateful to have manifested in the last few months, especially, I mean, it's something I've been building up to, is actually my new sense of self, my new sense of confidence, my new sense of feeling limitless and powerful and confident. I'm not going to say the word, but AF, and y'all know what that means. Confident as bleep. That is the number one thing I've manifested in the last few months for myself. And it blows my mind, no pun intended. I've actually, in my life, have done less forceful action. Right. I've actually been doing less in my life in terms of like making things happen. And for some people who are, again, you have the belief that, you know, you have to struggle for success. That's BS. I'm sorry, that is BS that you've been taught. Life is not meant to be complete struggle, and it's not meant, like, life to me in my mind, it's meant to be enjoyed, not endured. If you're waking up every day and you hate your life, or you're looking only forward to weekends, I'm going to be your best friend right now and tell you that's not normal. Right. Life is not supposed to be, I'm waking up doing what I hate every day. In fact, that's the number one way to die before you even actually leave your body. Absolutely. So what I don't want that to get confused with now is saying that it doesn't take some work. That it absolutely does. What I'm saying is, when you realize where the actual work, or I should say more aptly, when you realize what the real true work becomes, which is actually working majority of the time on yourself, you realize that it's all an inside game. And when you work on becoming the best internal version of yourself, you're going to start to see everything in your reality, everything around you start to shift to reflect the work you've done within. If you want to be the person to make it hard for yourself, by all means, keep working on all the things outside of you, because that's going to be the challenge, right? If you want to ignore what's going on in here, if you want to ignore the fact that you have a lot of things that need to change within, you're going to continue to struggle. It's like the Einstein saying, you know, it's like you're doing the same things every day. You're doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Right.
You're not going to see the progress you want if you're not willing to identify what needs internal work and then actually proactively take accountability for being that cheerleader for yourself and doing the work that's necessary to get you to move in that momentous positive motion forward.
Right. I love it. And we have a bunch of people watching us, Mandy, just to let you know. So if anybody has any questions, you can ask away. We have Colleen, who's a high school friend of mine, by the way. Colleen says, she says, you're on it. Absolutely. These are lessons learned. So Colleen, hope all is well with you and the family. So haven't seen her in a long time. So we have a bunch of people on. So if you have any questions, we haven't been on for 6 weeks and people are just looking for us on social media and on the internet.
I love it. I love our conversations because to me, like, I'm kind of no holds bar, and I know you are too. Like, I really don't, I feel like it's my duty to share from where I'm at today. And when you ask me, like, I mean, even now, you know, certain activities, certain things that are really important to me in my life, I'm going to be real with you. Like, I have a really strict, in a sense, strict daily routine. Like, I get up at 5 a.m. I'm out the door doing my cardio, you know, I'm focused on me. And again, like, I think that there's so much, I'm going to say it, like, unshakable confidence also has to become you making yourself the priority. Now, that's not to say that it's not about not caring about other people. It's not about not being humble, because I don't want to get that confused with, like, I think that there is, I want to address this because this is going to probably come up. I'm probably manifesting this while I'm saying this, but anyways,
right.
But no, I do want to bring this point up, right? Because people will sit there, some people might be sitting there saying, like, well, okay, but, like, you know, what about being is it feeling conceited or feeling guilty for focusing on you? Again, I always go back to this. If you don't focus on you, if you don't become your biggest cheerleader, if you don't hype yourself up, nobody's going to do that for you. Not in the way that you can do it.
Yeah, you have to be your cheerleader. You have to have that unshakable confidence.
You need to literally walk around with this invisible crown going, like, look, like, I deserve anything I want. And again, this isn't to, I don't want to dismiss, or I certainly don't want to say that it's okay. Like, this isn't about treating other people disrespectfully. By all means, that is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to put back that crown on your head. You need to get into a mental state of, look, I need to take care of myself. What do I need to do on a day-to-day basis to take my focus off of what's not going right in my life and focus on making me the best version of me again? And, you know, all of us have life responsibilities. All of us have people that we really deeply, hopefully, care about that are in our world. But if you don't take care of you as number one, you are never going to be able to show up as the best version of yourself, to be the best partner, daughter, you know, wife, father, relative, coworker, whatever, boss. You're not going to be able to put that hat on in the best way possible as well. So you've got to take care of you, number one. You need to have a really good daily routine. I can't stress that enough. That's been one of the also game changers for me. I've always had a good routine, but, like, it's so down pat now to, like, I don't even care if it's making a routine for yourself to go and do laundry once a day. Like, you need to be able to fill your calendar. And I don't mean being busy for the sake of being busy. What I'm trying to say here is you need to fill your calendar up with things that will bring you into a neutral state, so you're not so much focused on the negative. And also, you need to fill your calendar with things that are building yourself up. If you feel productive cleaning your house, great, go and clean your house. If you feel productive and happy working out, which is one of my biggest ones, like, I'm going to put the playlist to my free fitness workout videos so y'all can do fitness at home through that.
Yeah,
But
you've been sending me a lot of fitness videos. You've been
I know.
texting me and emailing me a lot of fitness videos, ab workouts and things of that nature. It's all good.
Like fitness for me has been a game changer for many years in my life, but especially now it's like, for one, I feel like it helps to take my focus and just redirect that energy in a really positive way, because there are all the endorphins going. It allows me to process things a lot faster and easier in my life. Physical activity also makes me feel more confident just in the way I feel and the way I look. Like, you know, they call it the glow up. They don't call it that for no reason. You literally glow more when you're happy. And I feel like exercise is a really beautiful channel to help you tap into your sexiest, you know, most confident self. So I'd say physical activity is a big one. You know, feeding your body, mind, and soul with amazing things. Another thing that I've really honed in on, because we've talked about the subconscious before, and a lot of all of what I'm discussing with you today has to do with our subconscious mind. You know, there's what we know, there's what we know we don't know, and then there's what we don't even know we don't know. And I feel like what goes on in our subconscious a lot of times are the things that we don't even know that we don't know we're aware of. Right.
100%.
So it can be those things, like it could have been one time, let's just use the example, one time when you were little and your mom yelled at you, and subconsciously you made an imprint on your subconscious that you're not worthy of having nice things in your life. It could be the one incident that you're not even aware of from your past that is literally directing every decision you're making in your life today. Right. So if you don't identify and address those things that are holding you back, those limiting beliefs that sometimes you're not even aware of, that's going to literally block all the goodness, you know, or you're going to see partial manifestations come into your life. Or you might actually, you know, and again, going back to the metaphor of the garden, you might be able to plant a lot of these beautiful things, but if you're not even aware of some of the weeds that are eroding the goodness that you're planting, you won't even know how to do that. So one of the number one things I've been doing, and I've talked a little bit about this before in some other videos and even in our conversations, is making the most use out of my sleeping hours. Now, why do I say this? Because when we're awake, sleep itself, yes, from a physiological standpoint, but making use, and I'm leading up to this, what we do during our sleep actually is very important as well. One of the number one things I've been doing is feeding my mind while I sleep through meditations that have affirmations that help to identify, not literally identify, but it's basically affirmations that help to shape new beliefs about myself, but also they help to target beliefs that I might not be aware of. And try to eradicate them while I'm in my sleeping hours. So what does that actually look like? I have been actually listening to meditations on a very low level while I'm sleeping at night. And I kid you not, Dan, it has penetrated my subconscious to a degree where things are instantaneously shifting and manifesting into my reality. And I know for some of y'all watching, if you're maybe newer to manifesting, or even like subconscious, conscious talk and this kind of work, it might sound a little radical, but I can't not share it, and I cannot talk about it, and at least suggest that you guys try it for yourselves, because it's literally worked magic in the last few months of my life. I think that's
great. I love that. I think that's great. And our audience today, listeners, I'm looking over, we got a whole bunch of people that are talking. Colleen again, she said that she's glad she's joined and she's giving her more confidence. So that's
Bless
good.
Y'all. Bless y'all. Unshakable confidence is an inside job, you know, and I would be the first to say, like, you know, you ask some of these undesirable circumstances. I mean, I don't care to, you know, it's to me, it's so irrelevant to bring up specific things, but I'll say, for example, in my past, there have been times when I've even labeled myself as having like certain things, like, let's say, without going there, I mean, now everyone's going to be so curious. Okay, for example, saying like I have ADD or something like that, right? Like, because I'm so high energy. To give yourself a label like that, to be honest, is just feeding in to something that is unnecessary, when you could be feeding your energy into going, hey, I'm just someone with a lot of energy. And like, I actually make light of it now. Like, I'm an Energizer bunny. I love having so much energy, and making it into something positive, because again, everything in our life is just based on our own perspectives. So a doctor can label you all these things. And again, I am talking to a doctor. So I don't want this to become like don't listen to people around you. But in a sense, I kind of want to say, stop listening to the people around you, because ultimately you only know what's best for you. Any person in your reality can tell you things about yourself. And I'm going to do double-edged sword here, because it's all about confidence, right? So I've had times in my life, or periods in my life, where literally everyone around me is hyping me up and saying, you know, we love this about you, we love that, like all this nice stuff. But I wasn't right within myself inside. And it honestly meant nothing, because the voice that I was hearing in my mind was not matching. It was not matching the externals that I was constantly hearing. And then I'll tell you what happened. When you start listening to that negative voice in your head, those limiting beliefs, you will start to see also your reality kind of go down the drain with that too, right? Now, I've had other periods in my life where, and even I'd say, you know, more so today, it's like all goodness, external and internal, because it's all matching. But like today in this 2.0, I'd say version Mandy, where, you know, consistently I feel super confident about myself, still being humble, but like, you know, I think humility and being humble is very important still. But at the end of the day, I love myself, and I'm not afraid to be this confident version of me. Because to be honest, you have to get to a level in your mind where you're just like, I don't give a bleep what anyone thinks about me or the way I live my life. I really don't. If you don't like it, okay, that's your opinion. It's none of my business. And
you don't have to accept that opinion that comes about, and that's important. Somebody else.
I like that saying, actually. Your opinion of me is none of my business.
That's right. Your opinion of me is none of my business. And usually when people have high opinions, or they're opinionated about somebody, a lot of times it's negative. So it doesn't really matter. Colleen is saying that with more confidence, your health thrives and your well-being thrives. And she agrees with us when it comes to ADD and labeling it differently. Her son's been diagnosed with ADD.
Honestly, like that's the thing. I'm going to be straight up real with y'all. I mean, I've had doctors, you know, in my, I'd say, younger years, like kind of teenage years and stuff, have these like, you know, I mean, it almost, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to disrespect the process, but like, you're asking me to fill out a checklist. I'm sure like 90% of people, if they're more of a high energy person, could probably check yes on most of these things. And it's giving you a label of something that, like, again, like I've talked about this in my past. This is why, like, I don't even care to give people labels of anything anymore, because like you're your own individual. We're all on an evolutionary journey. You can change at any time. That's the beauty of like manifesting and confidence, is like in a moment. And this is another thing I want to like. This is so important. If I like, and I always say this. I've said this in interviews before. If I'm blessed enough one day to have my own children, and that is part of my divine plan, I am literally going to hone in. And I know you're an amazing father for doing this with your son, Dan. It's like from a very young age, you want to ingrain in your children, for not just that you believe in them, more importantly, for them to believe in themselves. Because if you have true self-belief, self-confidence, you literally can do anything. That's a big one, right? It's like, that's everything. I think if every child,
that's very important.
If every child truly had pure self-belief, and I'll give you a perfect example. Most children that you know or you see, a lot of times, unless, you know, with the exception of the rules, those exceptions, unless, let's say, they've been traumatized, or until they've been traumatized in some way, They literally see themselves and they truly believe that they're Wonder Woman or Superman, and nothing will convince them otherwise, because here they actually believe that to be true. That's their truth that they're living. And that kind of unshakable confidence that we see demonstrated in children should be the same way we try to regain or get into that state of that inner childlike state of being of unshakable confidence again in our adulthood. It's when, again, society or people around us, or things have happened to us that shake our foundational beliefs about ourselves, that get us into these insecurities, these lacks, doubts, worries, fears. And then that just reflects in every area of our life. But as your friend Colleen is pointing out, and like I said, I mean, this would be a very easy episode to just talk about body image because of, the context of us being really into health and wellness, but it's not, it applies to every area. That's the beauty of this work.
Yes, it does apply to every area of your life. It applies to relationships and healthy relationships and dynamics in your life.
It applies to lifestyle. It applies to abundance. It applies to, your general health, especially, again, with what's going on in the world. I'm sorry, but if you have a healthy mindset within, you're going to see that reflected within from a physical standpoint and also in a lifestyle way.
So Mandy, we're just about done. We have minutes left, and boy, we could probably go on with this conversation for hours. So maybe we'll speak off air. Maybe we'll come back in a couple of weeks and pick up a little bit, because maybe.
I am so fired up, Dan.
Yes, you are.
Limitless. Consider me your human glow stick, people.
Yeah.
I feel lit up.
Right. If you're not fired up after this, nothing will fire you up. And Colleen is clapping for us, so that's also good.
I have so much love for you.
So
okay, Dan.
So I think we got to come back on in a couple of weeks. Yes.
Where can people find you?
What's that? I lost you there for a second. What did you say?
Where can people find you?
Where can people find me? Boy, you just go to you can go to any social media and you just put in Daniel Cardellichio. I just come up all over the place. So you can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Those are the three big ones that I'm on. Where can they find you, Mandy? And on YouTube too. Where can people find you?
Thank you. So on social media, it's at Mandy J. Ross, and I have the new rebranded also at Move with Mandy J. And it's not just physical movement. We're also talking spiritual, mindset, emotional, all the good movement in your life. So it's at Move with Mandy J. And you can find me pretty much everywhere across the board. Instagram, both of those at Facebook, let's see, YouTube channel is actually, if you guys are not tuning into the YouTube, it's Mandy J. Ross on YouTube. I'm actually very big on LinkedIn. I post a lot on LinkedIn as well. It's one of these platforms that some people are into, some are not. But anyways, I have a lot of stuff that I put out there on LinkedIn. I think I said Twitter, pretty much everywhere. TikTok, I'm at Mandy J. Ross pretty much across the board. And then my website is where you can find more info on anything to do with coaching, programs, or if you also want to look into my blog or I have my podcast episodes on there, it's www.mandyjross.com.
Excellent. That'll be in the show notes. This has been a great conversation as usual. Each time we talk, it gets better and better, Mandy. So
Dan, you and I are getting better and better, so it's just reflecting our evolutionary inner work.
That's right. So we are like fine wine. We're getting better and better.
You know what I like to say? This is a cute little saying for y'all watching. Age only matters if you're a wine or a cheese.
There you go. And I'm pushing 110 and I feel pretty good. I get up at 5 o'clock and I do my run and I do my weights and all of that at that point in time. I have my daily routine. So Mandy, thank you very much for coming on again today. Let's do this again in a couple of weeks. I think we got to pick up. Let's see if we can make that happen. Want to thank everybody for listening in to ourselves.
And as always, as we like to say, we are wishing y'all a blessed and beautiful day out there.
Have a blessed and beautiful day. Thank you very much, Mandy. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we will see you the next time. Take care.